Welcome to Unbelievable Top 10, your go-to destination for the most extraordinary events from around the world. Protests, a powerful tool for expressing dissent, have shaped history and brought about change. While many remain peaceful, some take a turn down an extreme path. From self-immolation to performance art, individuals have gone to shocking lengths to make their voices heard. These expressions of desperation and defiance push the boundaries of what we understand as protest. Today we dive into the 10 most extreme and terrifying protests ever witnessed. From self-immolation to acts of performance art, these protests are not for the faint-hearted. In Tibet, where the struggle against Chinese oppression is relentless, some protesters have resorted to the unthinkable: self-immolation. This horrifying act of protest is a stark demonstration of their desperation, a burning desire for freedom that outweighs even the instinct for self-preservation. Then there's Pyotr Pavlensky, a performance artist who has taken protest to a whole new level. He's nailed his scrotum to the ground in Moscow's Red Square and wrapped himself in barbed wire, all to protest against the suffocating constraints of Russian society. Halfway across the world, in Australia's detention centers, refugees have sewn their lips shut. A silent, painful protest against the treatment they've received. Their sewn lips, a metaphor for the voicelessness they experience. In India, villagers stood submerged in water for weeks on end. Their homes were about to be flooded by a government dam project, and they were not offered alternative housing. Their persistent, waterlogged protest was a plea for recognition, for fair treatment, for home. Thailand saw a protest of a different hue when demonstrators collected human blood to splash against government sites. A chilling crimson protest against what they deemed an illegitimate government. Performance artist Alice Newstead hung from hooks in her shoulders in a daring protest against shark finning. Her act, performed in a storefront window, was a visceral statement against the brutal practice. In Florida, a car dealer took a bulldozer to his own home in protest against increased property taxes. His act of self-destruction was a bold statement against what he saw as governmental overreach. Over in the UK, Mark McGowan pushed a nut with his nose for nearly 2 weeks. This bizarre, painstaking act was his way of protesting against student loan debt, a burden he felt was being unreasonably thrust upon young people. Lastly, a heartbreaking act of protest in Japan, where an 11-year-old boy threw himself in front of a bus. His desperate act was a protest against a school merger he felt would rob him of his identity and community. These acts, extreme as they are, reflect the depths of desperation and the lengths people will go to make their voices heard. Protests, as we've seen, can take the most unexpected forms. From the self-immolation of Tibetans to the extreme performance art of Pyotr Pavlensky, these actions are born out of a profound need to be heard, to be recognized. The Indian villagers standing in water for weeks on end, the refugees in Australian detention centers sewing their lips shut. These are not simply acts of defiance, but cries for help and pleas for change. In these extreme protests, we see a common thread of desperation, a testament to the lengths that humans will go to in order to make their voices heard. Each act, no matter how terrifying or extreme, serves as a stark reminder of the injustices that drive people to such desperate measures. But it's important to remember that at the heart of these protests are ordinary individuals. A car dealer in Florida, a student in the UK, an 11-year-old boy in Japan, each of them driven by a need to fight for what they believe is right. The circumstances may vary, but the underlying motivation remains the same: the pursuit of justice and freedom. These protests remind us of the power of the human spirit and the lengths it will go to fight for justice and freedom. So, there you have it, the 10 most extreme and terrifying protests the world has ever seen. From the self-immolating Tibetans to the blood-splashing Thai dissidents, the lengths people have gone to make their voices heard are nothing short of extraordinary. We've seen Pyotr Pavlensky's shocking artistic protests and the heartbreaking desperation of refugees in Australian detention centers. Each tale is a testament to the human spirit's indomitable will to resist and be heard, no matter the cost. If you found this video intriguing, please subscribe to Unbelievable Top 10 for more extraordinary stories.